this really leaves some scratches. Look at this. This scratched into the paper. I don't like this charcoal stick. I don't know where I got it, but there's something wrong with it. It says charcoal on it, but it scratches the paper. It's really wide. I got it because I'm having to cover greater areas, you know, with it. So I didn't want to use the, for time's sake, you know. But it scratches, and I don't like that at all. So I'm not a real fan of this charcoal stick. Whatever it is, wherever I got it, Charcoal USA 92 2D. I don't know where I bought this. Probably Michael's. Okay. Let's see how it goes on just plain paper right here. Yeah, I don't like the way it goes on. So even though I like the fact that it covers a larger surface area, it just, like, it almost comes off like graphite. Ugh, yuck. It's time for me to do a shopping trip. Okay, so I'm tossing this. I'm not even going to use it. But my charcoal stick is really getting down to the wire here. So look at the difference. This doesn't scratch. But it just takes longer. Now I'm trying to do all these hair highlights. I drew this picture a long time ago when I was in high school. I recognize this picture. I did a pretty good job of it back then. I wish I still had what I did to contrast. Let's see if I've gotten better. I think I can bring this in more. This is about where the neck starts, I guess. Some people in Q think this guy faked his own death and came back as Rush Limbaugh. Wouldn't that be a cool idea? That'd be a cool idea for like a plot to a great, like, I don't know, a sci-fi novel. It's just so captivating. I think the reason people like Q is just so captivating. Such a great idea. A rock star, totally, you know, totally the hippie morals, and then he totally fakes everybody out and comes back as Rush Limbaugh, and then, but then it wouldn't be any good if you didn't reveal it eventually, because you gotta show all the people you fooled, and then make them question their certainty about everything. I love Jim Morrison. I didn't like Rush Limbaugh, but I listened to him for a long time. After 9/11, I started listening to him, and then I stopped. I have gone back and forth on the left and the right so many times. God, it's so confusing. Try to figure out what the truth is. I mean, my dad was a university professor, super lefty. Oh, not as left as people are now, though. But, you know, he taught me certain values, principles of the Enlightenment. You know. it's hard to know what to believe. I mean, FDR and his policies are the savior policies, and then socialism, you know, maybe that's the way to go. For a long time I thought so. But then these mask mandates, that's what really made me question everything. It didn't seem connected to anything. It didn't seem scientifically, I mean, yeah, granted I'm not a scientist, but I do have common sense, and it just didn't seem to match up. But you don't want to take risks, you don't want to go against the crowd. Oh my gosh, I can't even, this video probably won't even get published because I talked about this stuff. We'll find out. Anyway, this is really taking a long time because I don't have a tip that is wide enough to cover it in longer strokes, you know, better strokes. Okay. At this point, I just want to kind of, I don't know, go over this with this, my old standby, the blending stick. Okay, here's the blending stick. The difference when I blend with the blending stick and when I use the sponge, you can see right here, look, I'll use the blending stick here, blending this charcoal, getting rid of the air holes, making it look more like a solid, dark, you know, section. Then I'm going to use this one. You'll see how different it is. This almost rubs the charcoal off, whereas the blending stick sort of rubs the charcoal into the paper. The sponge seems to rub it off the paper. So if you want like a solid block of dark and you want it to be super dark, then I recommend using the blending stick. If you just want kind of a less dark looking solid mass of dark, you can use the sponge, which is faster. Also, if you do a lot of layers and use the dry sponge, each layer will be darker than the last one. It's hard to use the sponge in areas that require a lot of detail, and you wouldn't really want to use it over here anyway. Okay. But like this section of dark that I'm putting in now is darker than the last one. So each layer will get darker. Either way, it takes a long time. So if I use the sponge on this, I'm going to use the sponge on this area. You see the level of darkness you're getting. Okay, and then I'm going to use the blending stick right next to it. And it'll be darker. Because it's more like rubbing it into the paper rather than rubbing off the excess charcoal. See? This is darker. It doesn't even really go to a lighter shade. It just stays that same super dark shade if you use the blending stick. I don't know whether I need a new blending stick or not. I imagine I probably do, because there's probably just nothing but charcoal. But it almost looks like you can unwrap the paper to get like better charcoal underneath, but it doesn't really work that way. I think I just need a new stick. When I hold the pencil this way, I'm holding it incorrectly. I mean, this is how I was taught to hold it by Larry Gluck. Like this. This is the better way to hold it. But sometimes I just switch around. I get bored. Plus, sometimes it's hard to do rendering with your holding the pencil this way. Another technique is the brush. You can use the brush. Let me show you what that looks like. Uh-oh. I don't know if I have my brush anymore. I may have lost my brush. Oh, there it is. It's on the floor. Okay. So this is what it looks like when you use the brush. Let's use the brush over here. In my opinion, it looks different from the other two methods. It's something you can only get with the brush. Just it kind of an in-between where they use the blending stick. It goes in real deep here because you're rubbing it into the grain of the paper. But when you use the blending stick, I actually really like the blending stick, especially for hair. When you use the blending stick, it's kind of a good, I don't know, combination. And you can actually get in there and do some pretty fine detail with it. Let's try the brush on the hair and see how that works. Leave it all the time. And then I'm trying to affect some highlights using the brush, maybe. I'm kind of cheating a little, you know. Brush is sort of a cheat. Okay. All right. How long have I been live? 15 minutes. I just wanted to get some of this masses of hair out of the way. This is boring to look at.